You know, if you study people who are at the pinnacle of anything, you recognize that to get there, motivation was maybe 1% of the formula. Maybe. 1%. And I'll prove it to you. If you want to become a world-class bodybuilder, say an IFBB pro, what that takes is you have to train twice a day, 6 days a week. You have to have 8 meals a day. Your calorie intake is regimented. Your meals are pre-planned and pre-cooked. You don't eat according to taste, you eat according to function. So my trainer, for instance, will eat and I'm going, what are you eating? And he's having he'll have chicken that was boiled without salt. And he'll have like half a kilo of it. And what are you doing? He says, I'm taking in protein. He doesn't say I'm eating. He says, I'm taking in protein. For him, it's functional. It's not taste-based. Then you will probably have to train for a minimum. And this is if you are a genetic phenom. You'd have to train for a minimum of 10 years before you could get on a stage and compete at an average level with an average global bodybuilder. Average. Okay. So why am I telling you this? All of us here at the beginning of a new year write these things called New Year's resolutions. And then New Year's resolutions, number 1, make more money. Yeah? Number 2, change my boyfriend. Number 3, get into shape. Yeah? Number 3, get into shape is somewhere in the top 3. So what do? You go to the gym, you get a gym membership. Yeah? You go to the local Nike store and you buy like all of your gym gear. You are motivated. You are inspired. You are going to the damn gym. You go to YouTube, you subscribe to all of the fitness channels. You go to your Instagram, you follow all of the fitness models. You are motivated. You are going to the damn gym. You're going to get in shape. That's what you're going to do. The people you're following on YouTube have been working on for a minimum of 5 years to look like that. So you have the incorrect understanding that after a month of working out, you're going to look like them. So what happens in the first month? You're excited. You go to gym every single month, and you take the pains and your body is sore, but I'm excited. I'm going to gym. Then life happens. Company doesn't make money. You don't make your targets. You fall a bit ill. Something happens. And all of a sudden you stop going to gym for a day. A day becomes 2, 2 becomes a week. Now all of a sudden you've had a gym membership for 3 months and you haven't been in that time. What did you miss? You thought motivation was the formula. Winners don't need motivation. Winners need discipline. Discipline's about getting it done because it needs to get done, not because I feel like it, not because I'm motivated for it. You think Nelson Mandela was motivated to spend 27 years in prison? You think Martin Luther King was motivated to march across the states and proclaim freedom? You think, if you look at people that change the world, they're not doing it because they're motivated. They're doing it because they made a commitment to do it and they disciplined to see it through. Discipline is far more important than motivation, which is why you got to be careful the decisions you make. Because once you make the decision, you have to see that decision through. Like my mentor says, first we make the decisions, then the decisions make us. So you got to be very careful the decisions you make. Be very careful the commitments you make. Motivation, I'm telling you now, is completely overrated. It's important. Don't get me wrong. We meet according to motivation. We feel good, rah-rah. But that'll fade. You need a stronger will and a deeper commitment to see things through.
One of my key phrases for the whole day: disciplines work miracles. Disciplines work miracles.
And I believe collectively as a group, we're going to kick the competition's butt because we understand how important it is to think, execute, and dominate. Suck it up. Get tough. Suck it up. Get tough. People want to have success. People want to make a lot of money, but they want it to be easy without any challenges. You think it was easy for me to become one of the top 450 basketball players in the world that you never heard of? The only way I made it to the NBA is I was fundamentally sound, I was mentally tough, and I never quit. And even when I wanted to quit, I had people in my life that would make sure I didn't quit. I hired and set out the top 10 motivational speakers, watched all their videos, and I watched them one by one because I understand that if I pay attention to what the best are doing, I could be the best too. I watched game film on Michael Jordan. No matter how much I watched, I couldn't do what Michael Jordan could do. I would watch Magic Johnson. I couldn't do what Magic Johnson would do, but I sat there and had these videos. I watched Les Brown, Zig Ziglar, Tony Robbins, but my wife was scared. I was scared. I called into my office and I said what husbands say. I said, babe, we're going to be okay. Every month the checking account is dwindling. I said, babe, we're going to be okay. Let's start a motivational speaking business. I go to Jerry Sloan and I say, Jerry, I'm trying to make your team, but since we don't scrimmage, I feel like I can't show you what I can do. Go to Corral, hear me clearly, listen to his answer, and it will unlock some mysteries as to how you become the best in the world at what you do over a long period of time. Jerry, I'm trying to make your team, but I feel like I can't show you what I can do. He says, Walter, I already know what you can do, but if you want to make my team, I suggest you listen, follow directions, and execute. Listen, follow directions, and execute. What I didn't realize, even though we didn't scrimmage and practice, throughout practice, we did drills, and he created what I call habits and rituals. Every single day, practice was the same. Every single day, we drilled on fundamentals. Every single day, we worked on the habits and rituals. So even though my mind was floating, even though I was selfish and self-centered, he was conditioning me into the culture through practice of habits and rituals. The reason why I tripled my NBA income in 3 years is because of habits and rituals. Next year, if your name didn't get called to come across the stage, I'm here to tell you they will call your name next year if you go back home and execute habits and rituals. I wanted to scrimmage for me, but Jerry Sloan was getting me ready to play for the Utah Jazz. So every day it was about habits and rituals. Having hot food is about habits and rituals. Great customer service is about habits and rituals. Being the best in the world at what you do, being a pro, is all about habits.
The heart of a champion. What does it take to really truly be a champion? Well, it takes more than excuses. It takes more than just giving yourself a pass. There are only so many champions in the world. And true champions understand what dedication and hard work really is. True champions understand if you're going to be a lion, you got to know what it means to go through the jungle. You can't pretend or fake it just to make it. To be a champion. When everybody else is sleeping, the champion is the one that wakes up. The champion gets up before the sun comes up. The champion is the one that never lets the sun catch them sleeping. There will become a time when you have to realize that you got to put in the work and you got to understand that if you're going to do it, you better do it with the right attitude. Because attitude is what's going to take to get you to the level that you need to be and beyond it. Champions don't just come overnight. Champions have to grow. Champions have to work. Champions have to dig. Champions have to believe. Champions don't have time to wait around for something to happen on its own. Being a champion takes work, grit, and understanding that if you're trying to be better than the opponent, you got to work a little bit harder than the person that you up against.
You must build a mindset for success. A mindset that can endure pain and struggle because it will come. Your mindset will make or break you.
A champion has to make significant sacrifices. A champion has to be disciplined. A champion has to be hungry. You got to dedicate everything about you.
Train like a champion.
Champions understand that discipline is always the key.
There is no winning in excuses. There are no victories and giving up. You got to understand within you is greatness. Within you is something that is waiting to be awakened. You are the one that is responsible for this work that must be done. Everyone wants to be great at something. But wanting it and doing something about it and ultimately needing it is going to take work. It's going to take dedication, because procrastination is the assassination of your motivation that would ultimately lead you to your destination. Make sure you understand that you're going to have to put something in it to get something out. A champion does not worry. It doesn't concern themselves about challenges that they have to face. They realize that they have to put in work. They realize that every opponent that they face is an opportunity to go a little farther up that ladder. You're not worthy to be a champion if you don't apply yourself to be one. You're not worthy to hold on to a title if you don't have the integrity and the understanding and the grit and what you need to do to maintain what it means to be a champion.
You think you bad? How bad do you really think you are? Are you really bad enough to know what it is that you want? Are you bad enough to go through the challenges in life? Or are you just someone that like to fake the funk, pretending to be something that you're not? How bad do you really want it? Do you understand what that means? Do you understand how aggressive you gotta be? Do you understand even when you're aggressive, you still gotta have patience? Do you really understand the work that has to be applied to it? Because you can want all day long, but if you don't apply action to it, then how can you achieve? How can you achieve the greatness that's within you? How bad do you really want it? Do you want what's coming? Or do you even understand what's coming? Can you even comprehend it? A lot of people ain't ready for it. Maybe you're not ready for it. Maybe you're not understanding exactly what it's going to really take to get to that point in your life where you can accept the fact that, hey, this is it. I got to put that work in. I got to apply myself. How bad do you want it? That's all you ever talked about. It's all you ever dreamed about. All you did was wait around, hoping that someone was just going to hand you the keys to the city. No one is just going to hand you over their keys and expect you to drive. In fact, you don't even have a license to understand what it means to get what it is you really want.
If the unthinkable happens to you, what would you do? If you had an accident, or you lost your job, or you were laid off, or you became ill, how would you provide for yourself? If the unthinkable happens to you. And it doesn't always happen to the other person. It can happen to me, it can happen to you. But most of us go through life thinking that, well, just maybe it won't happen to me. That we'll just read about somebody else that will happen to us. Talking to a friend of mine by the name of Maria, who is wheelchair bound, and she said that she had an experience in her life that taught her that she's not immune from life, because she was diagnosed as having muscular dystrophy at age 15, and she figured that was tragic enough. But 2 years ago, because of a malfunctioning wheelchair, she fell out of a van, struck her head, and suffered a closed head injury. Had blood on the brain, and they said that she perhaps might go blind, or she'd have loss of memory or concentration. And I said, how did you handle that? She said, Les, it was the best thing that could have happened to me. I said, why? She said, because on that day, I woke up and I realized that life is about today. Living today. That whatever I want to do, I do it right now. She said, I enjoy getting up in the morning, looking out of the window, just looking at the grass. She said, because I could have lost my vision. She said, I'm appreciative of just the little things. Shake somebody's hand on your right and left and say, be thankful for the little things. Isn't that important? That we've got to begin to learn how to become thankful for the little things and live in life right now. So I want you to think about your ideas. All of us have ideas and things that we have not acted on. You got to begin to develop some skills, and you got to ask yourself a question. What do you have going for you? What is it that you have going for you right now that's a real plus for you? What is it that you have going against you? What kind of training do you require? What is it that you need to learn? See, you make money only one of three ways in an economy of this nature. You have to have a skill, like I've developed a skill to become a speaker, or have some specialized knowledge, or have a particular product or service that you can provide for the public. John H. Johnson of Ebony Magazine said something very important. He says, there is no defense against an excellence that meets a pressing public need. So any idea that you have, it must fulfill a need for somebody. Once you think about it. Now here's the next step. Don't worry about the fact that you don't have all the things you need in order to make it happen. Decide that you're going to do something about it. Become an active force in your life. See, you've got some talents and abilities right now you have that if you don't challenge yourself to use those talents and abilities, you'll never ever discover the full effect that they can have on achieving all the things that you want to achieve. Most people go through life never using the power they have. You have enormous power to begin to create all the things that you want in your life experience that most people go through life never using. I travel a lot speaking around the country, and I was out of Detroit for around 2 months. I came back to the airport, went in the parking lot, put my key in the ignition, turned the key. Can anybody tell me what happened? Can you tell me why the car did not get started? The battery was dead. Why was it dead? If you don't use your talents, if you don't use this power, this force that you have within you, you're going to lose it. If you have the ability to write, and if you don't write, you're going to lose the ability to write as well as you do right now. If you have the ability to play an instrument, the world's greatest pianist said that if I miss a week of practice, I know it. And if I miss 2 weeks, the critics know it. And if I miss 3 weeks, my audience knows it. If you have the ability to draw well, and if you don't use that talent eventually, you're going to lose it. If I don't speak often, and at one point in my life, I missed speaking for around 6 months. And when I came up before an audience, I was rusty. I could not get my thoughts together. I could not have the power, the kind of confidence that I needed in order to make it happen. So whatever you want to do, whatever idea that you have, the longer that you're sitting on that idea, you are either creating or you are disintegrating. If you're not using it, your skills are diminishing every day. And there goes a second. There goes another second. And life is happening right now. But Les, what do you mean? Get your butt out of the way. So many people have gone to their graves, never discovered their true potentials because they allowed their butts to stop them. But I don't know what to do. No, that's not really true. I was on a television program the other day. A lady called in and she said, there's something I'd like to ask you. And I said, what is it? She said, well, I have this thing I want to do, but I've been unemployed. I lost my job for 2 years. I haven't been able to find a job. I don't have the money and I don't have the contacts and I really don't know what to do. I said, excuse me. I said, the fact that you don't have the money or the contacts really is not the issue. I said, what's the real issue? She said, what do you mean? I said, what's stopping you from doing what you want to do? She said, well, I don't know. I said, but if you did know, what would your answer be? She said, well, I think maybe I'm afraid. I said, what are you afraid of? Maybe I might fail. See, a lot of people allow fear to stop them from living their dream. Answer your calling. Whatever you're called to do, don't count yourself out. Don't say, I can't do that. Many of us go through life saying no, and you don't even know what you're saying no to. You don't know what you cannot do if you're not willing to challenge yourself. Whatever it is that you don't know how to do right now, you can learn. I did not know how to speak for major corporations. I didn't know how to do that. But I decided to become a student. If you do your research, if you do your homework, if you make the commitment that I'm going to learn, when you look at what do I have going for me and drop your buckets where you are, decide I'm going to work and get myself together. God and Jim Rohn said, your gifts will take you places that you'll never begin to imagine. And I decided to do one thing. All my life, I've been a jack of all trades and master of none. I mean, I did a little of everything. I was a disc jockey. I was a state representative. I used to be an MC. I used to do public relations work. I used to do door-to-door sales. I did a whole lot of things. But I decided that I was going to do one thing, and I would master that. And after mastering the art of speaking, then I would become a trainer. And after doing that, then I said, I must become a businessman. Just find one thing. and just decide that you're going to work with it until it gives you the blessing that you want, and don't let up on it. Just keep right on working it and working it and working it, and knowing that whatever you do, you can better your best. You can get better at it. That whatever you are achieving right now, it's only a tip of the iceberg of what's possible for you. Now, here's something else that you do when you start working on this dream. Give it everything you got. See, put your heart in it. Most people, when they're working on dreams, they don't give it everything they have. I heard a guy say in a book, the title of it was, All You Can Do Is All You Can Do. And all you can do is enough. Well, see, most people don't do all they can do. Most people go through life holding back. Have you ever had the experience of starting your car and you mash down on the accelerator and the car, boom, wait a minute, hold a minute. Start mashing again and it was not moving. It was very hard. And all of a sudden you realize that you had the emergency brakes on. Then you release the emergency brakes and then the car moved, boom, unencumbered. Most of us go through life with our emergency brakes on. Well, the major key to your taking charge of your destiny is you. I mean, if you have the credit of Ross Perot, that will help. If you have people who will support you, that will help. But all of those things are secondary. The major key to your taking charge of your destiny is you. It's you. And even though you might not have all the things going for you that you would like, you have the power within you as you begin to develop your consciousness, as you hold the vision of what it is that you want to do, as you decide to answer this small voice within you. Because as you respond to this voice that's telling you you ought to do this, the way will come, ideas will come to you. You will begin to attract things you need and things that you don't even know that you need right now.
Your future is in your hands. You know what that means? You got to work on your mind. Fortify yourself. You know what that means? You got to upgrade, level up your skill set. You know what that means? That means you want to be in a community of collaborative, achievement-driven, supportive relationships that's going in your direction. And anybody that don't have the mindset that you have, let them go. Well, Les, can I change them? No. It's a full-time job changing yourself. I was trying to help my twin brother lose weight, and I gained 25 pounds. I gained 25 pounds trying to help my brother lose weight. Because when you speak and talk to people, you dilute your energy. A person who's not willing to help themselves, you can't help them. Patrick Douglas said it best. He said, why help a man stand on his feet if he doesn't have enough gumption to lock his knees? When you let him go, his head will hit the pavement. Whoa, come on. Think about that. If you're ready for a change, if you got a book in you and say, I'm in. My compilation book is going to be called The Hungry One. I want your story, The Hungry Ones. And then I'm going to do a speaking summit with the hungry ones. I'm going to teach you how to tell your signature story, the hungry ones. I'm going to teach you how to make money with your story, the hungry ones. I'm going to teach you how to become a national and global voice. Yeah. How I did it. And it's easier now. It's like taking cake from a baby. It's easier because of this computer. 2007, the Time magazine said the computer was the person of the year. Why? Because you can create a global business with your phone or your computer. You can learn anything on here. And now the majority of money that's being generated in the economy is done at a computer. Going from brick and mortar to click and order. Listen what, and remember what Maya Angelou said. She said there's nothing as painful as an untold story buried in your soul. go to hungrytospeak.com. hungrytospeak.com. You got something that's been staying in your face. It's been keeping you up at night. hungrytospeak.com. When you hear me speak, you know I'm talking to you. You know I'm coming for you. There's something in you that wants to be birthed. The water has broken. There's something in you that's ready to come out. You know it. You know it. Stop playing around. Stop procrastinating. Only put things off for tomorrow that you don't mind dying in you today. You deserve to be happy. You got some good stuff in you. You're supposed to evolve, not be the same way. We've been trained to be who we were not to be.
When everybody's out there making mistakes, when everybody's out there not being responsible, are you going to be the one to be responsible? If you are a father, if you are a mother, it is your responsibility to be the best parent that you can be. If you are in charge of a company, or you're a manager, or anything that requires your responsibility to step up, then it is up to you to lead by example. You have to take the lead, not always following, but leading the pack, leading in the right direction, doing the things that will take you to the levels that you need to go and beyond them. But you can't hold back anymore. And you can't say I'm sorry all the time, because your sorry just ain't gonna cut it. Step up to the plate and be responsible. Step up to the plate and do what's necessary. Step up to the plate and do all the things that is required. And then we can talk. Then we can talk about the next thing in your life. Then you can have that intimate conversation with yourself, within yourself, and realize that this is it. Now I got more work to do. There comes a time in your life where you have to step up to the plate. There comes a time in your life where you have to understand the significance of what it means to be responsible. To have the responsibility to understand that you have to take full control of your actions. Now, many people tend to wait and not get themselves in a position to where they need to be and to be accountable for what they do in their lives. Being responsible, taking full action of everything you do in your life depends on you.
Well, let me tell you something I know for sure. If you want to be successful and happy in this life, you got to have God in your life. You have to include God in your life. Now listen to this. I'm a perfect example of this fact. You ain't got to be perfect to have God in your life, because you're not perfect no way. You quit going down to these churches preaching perfection, because there ain't none. I get so amazed at people who come see me, and then I had this one lady sitting up in the audience just with her arms for. I said, ma'am, you're not having a good time. She said, as a matter of fact, I'm not. I said, what's wrong? She said, I'm really disappointed. I said, how so? She said, I thought you were a Christian. I said, I am a Christian. She said, but I've heard you use profanity several times. Okay. I'm a cussing Christian. I don't understand how that stops me from doing it. I have flaws because I'm a human. Because you might not cuss, but you do something. So, okay, so what? You don't cuss, you do something. Because there's none perfect, no, not one. So why I'm sitting up in front and faking like I'm this perfect dude so I can say I'm a Christian, when all them Christians, ain't nobody perfect. You can't be perfect, man, but you can have a relationship with God. You can sit up and fake the funk if you want to and say you're perfect, but you're not. You're not. Everybody in this room is broken. All us is broken. That's what you need God for, because we all broken. Everybody, I don't care who you are. And it ain't no you more broken than somebody else. You broken. What difference do it make? Somebody told me one time, if it's 3 people on a boat and a person dive off the boat to swim to shore, and he get 100 yards away from the boat and he drowned and sink. Then the next person dive in the water and he get 500 yards off the boat, but he drowned and sink. And the last man get off the boat and he dive in the water and he gets 6 feet away from shore and he drowned and he died. Who the better swimmer? Who the better swimmer? Y'all all drown. I don't care how far you go. You can sit up here, man. You can keep talking this perfection thing as you want. You get as close as you want. We all gonna come short when it comes to perfection. Look, form a relationship with God just the way you are. God take you just the way you are. Matter of fact, God shape you up just like he need. See, he take dudes like me. He take old hoodlum dudes. And he, like you hear people, they say they got saved and they got washed white as snow. You hear people say that. I ain't get that version. I just got risk off. When I looked up and got saved, I still had dirt on me. Now, if you got the whitest snow version, congratulations. But that ain't really how I go. God take people like me. I'm an imperfect soldier for Christ. And he allows me to say some things on his behalf. And you may not like the way I say it. You might not like my method. But I'm just telling you the truth, that you can be an imperfect person and have a relationship with God. That's all I'm trying to tell you. You ain't got to believe it. Because once again, I'm not in the soul conversion business. If you want to go to hell, die. It's none of my business. But if you struggle and you're looking for a way out and you lost a little bit, I'm telling you that God is in the forgiving business. That God is in the get your life together business. That God is in the make your dream come true business. That God is in the accept you as you are business. You can't fix yourself. If you could fix yourself, wouldn't you have done it by now? You can't fix yourself, but he can. God took somebody like me and turned me into something. And I'm telling you right now, I have no business even being here. If it wasn't for God's grace, I can't even explain my career to nobody. I can't even, somebody asked me, they ask me all the time, how you get all these TV shows? I can tell you flat out, I have no idea. Because all I asked for was one. I'll tell you the truth, I just wanted one. You know how hard it is to get one show in Hollywood? Come out here and try to get a TV show. You know how hard that is? I got 8. You know what that is? That's called grace. That's God's unmerited favor. That's because, man, if you ask God for something, he'll do exceedingly abundantly over all you think or ask. And all you got to do is honor him. So I'm standing here honoring him. And the reason I'm standing here, because when I was homeless and I had nothing, I told God, if you let me make it, when I get there, I'm going to tell everybody about you. So I'm telling you about it. You ain't got to believe me, but I'm holding up my end of the deal. I appreciate y'all coming.
The best way to present yourself is to stand up forthrightly and to stretch out, and to occupy some space. And you make yourself sort of vulnerable by doing that because you open up the front of your body, right? But it's a sign of confidence. And that way people are most likely to give you the benefit of the doubt. And that's a good way to start regulating your mood. But not only does it directly regulate your mood to stand up, but also because if you straighten up and you present yourself in that manner, then other people are more likely to take you seriously. And that's another way that you can at least give yourself the bloody benefit of the doubt, right? And confront the world in a courageous manner. And that's a really good way of figuring out how to establish yourself in multiple competence hierarchies, because one of the general rules of thumb about how to be successful is to confront things that frighten you forthrightly and with courage. And that's kind of a universal strategy for success. There's always going to be people around that are better at something than you are. And that's a problem, because you can get jealous and you can get bitter and you can get resentful, and worse, you can get hopeless, I have this friend of mine, he told me something so funny. He was decrying his lack of success in the world, and he compared himself to his roommate. And he said, his college roommate was doing much better than he was. And his bloody roommate was Elon Musk. It's like, it wasn't like he was doing badly. Like, he was doing pretty damn well. It's like, I'm not as good as Elon Musk. It's like, yeah, well, you and like 7 billion other people, But I thought it was instructive, because you have to be careful who you compare yourself to. Now, you can't just not compare yourself to successful people, right? Because then you don't have anything to aim at. You need an ideal because you have nothing to aim at, but an ideal is a judge, and you always fall short of the ideal. So how the hell can you have the benefits of having an ideal without having the crushing blow that goes along with having the judge that always regards you as insufficient? And this is something I've had to work out a lot as a clinical psychologist. It's like, well, let's say you need a goal, but we don't want to let your distance from the goal crush you. So You got to set up a goal, and then you got to make the goal, break the goal down into parts so that you can move towards it and you have a fairly high likelihood of doing it. So that's a bit of practical, I wouldn't say advice, because it's better than advice. It's some practical knowledge about how to go about achieving an aim. Set a high aim, but differentiate it down so you know what the next step is, and then make the next step difficult enough so you have to push yourself past where you are, but also provide yourself with a reasonable probability of success. It's also what you do with children, right? You want to push them because they need to grow up and be more than they are, right? But you don't want to crush them with constant failure. So what you do is aim high and make the goal difficult but proximal. So your goal is to make today some tiny increment better than yesterday. And you can use better. You can define better yourself. This doesn't have to be some imposition of external morality. You know where you're weak and insufficient, where you could improve. Think, okay, well, this is what I'm like yesterday. If I did this little thing, things would be just an increment better. Well, that's a great thing because you get the ball rolling, and incremental improvement is unstoppable. You can actually implement it, and it starts to generate Pareto distribution-like consequences. It starts to compound.
When you expect things to change, when you keep saying to yourself, I know the breakthrough is coming. I know healing is on the way. I know the right person is in my future. I know what God started, He's going to finish. Your faith can stop the creator of the universe. That's what activates His power. There were other people in the crowd that day that were sick. Many people that had needs. No doubt they bumped into Jesus. Nothing happened. But this lady touched Him. Are you brushing up against Him, or are you touching Him? Are you living with expectancy, knowing that He's bigger than those problems, greater than that sickness, more powerful than that opposition? Or have you become discouraged, thinking it's never going to change? God is passing by. He has all power. Don't just brush up against Him. Don't be passive and think you could never accomplish your dreams, never meet the right person, never start your business. Do like this lady. Reach out and touch Him. Release your faith. Believe that it will happen. This lady was closest to her miracle when she faced the greatest opposition. Would have been easy if Jesus would have come, just a few disciples. She could have gone out and touched Him without the struggle, without all the people in the way, but she had to fight through the crowd. The crowd represents broken dreams, things that didn't work out, thoughts telling you it's never going to get better, you'll never get well, never break the addiction. The crowd can be negative words people have spoken over us. You're not that talented. You can't accomplish your dreams. If you're going to reach your potential, you have to fight through some things. You can't have a weak, give up, this is too hard spirit. You have to be more determined than what's trying to stop you. You may get knocked down, but you have to get back up again. You need to have a made-up mind. This disappointment is not going to stop me. I'm not going to let the mistakes I've made, the guilt, the regrets cause me to shrink back. I'm not going to allow the bad breaks, the people that did me wrong, the rejection, the betrayal, cause me to get bitter and stay where I am. I'm going to fight through the crowd. Many of the miracles Jesus performed, He laid His hands on people and they were healed. But in this case, Jesus didn't lay hands on the woman laid hands on Jesus. Are you waiting for God to lay hands on you, so to speak? God, this problem's so big. When are you going to do something about it? Why don't you lay hands on Him? Instead of complaining about the problem, Lord, I want to thank You that things are turning in my favor. Thank You that no weapon formed against me will prosper. Lord, thank You that You hold victory in store for the upright. I don't see a way, but Lord, I want to thank You. I know You have a way. When you do that, you're laying hands on God. Your faith can initiate the healing. Your faith can be the catalyst for God to do amazing things. Acts chapter 14, the Apostle Paul was teaching people. He noticed a crippled man in the crowd. He'd been that way since birth, never walked. Verse 9 says, Paul realized the man had faith to be healed. Here the man was just sitting in the audience listening to Paul, but he must have had such anticipation on his face. Paul must have seen something in his expression, an expectancy that something good was going to happen, like a little child at a candy store. Paul was so impressed, he stopped his message and said, Sir, I can see you're ready for your miracle. Stand up. The man stood up and instantly he was healed, began to walk for the first time. Like that man, we should live with this anticipation that something good is going to happen. Yes, we've all had difficulties. We all have a reason to be sour. Don't let that talk you out of what God has in store. You wouldn't be alive if there wasn't something amazing in your future. Can your faith be seen? Can anyone notice that you're expecting to go to a new level? Are you talking like it's going to happen? Thinking like it's going to happen? Believing like it's going to happen? God is passing by. But if you're negative, I don't see how it'll work out. I never get any good breaks. I've been this way a long time. You may brush up against Him, but you're not going to touch Him. You have to show God you're ready to be healed, ready to be free, ready to be blessed. There should be an expectancy. It could happen today. You could meet the person of your dreams this week. You could see your health turn around this month.
I'm not a billionaire. You do understand that. We said, Mr. Hart, we know everything about you. We know your net worth and everything. I said, well, what can you all learn from me? He said, everything. He said, the reason we want to hear your story is because the majority of us that are billionaires, we inherited some money and we grew it. A couple of us inherited $1 billion, we automatically. Some of us inherited 300 million and we turned it into $1 billion. You come from nothing. What we want to know is how you got to where you are after coming from nothing. How did you live in a car for 3 years and wind up on more TV shows than anybody? How did you survive flunking out of school? How did you survive all of that? We want to know that, because in case something happens to us, we don't really have the information that you have, or how to come from the back to the front, or how to come from the bottom to the top. So I get asked oftentimes to speak. And so when I was telling them how I made it, I was telling them about the fortitude that I developed. And then I told them about the faith that I had. And that was really startling to them. Now, a lot of them are people of faith, but a lot of people who were born with a lot of money ain't really had to have a lot of faith. You understand? You have an idea of what it feels like. You've seen some kids get put in foster care. You've seen Child Protective Services come to somebody's house. You've seen kids come to school with less. You might have been one of the kids that went to school with less. You have struggled to give your kids a better life than the one you had. They don't hear this. But I'm going to tell you something right now. You can be successful without an education. You can be successful without coming from a rich family. You can be successful. I don't care what color you are, what faith you belong to, your sexual preference. I don't care what's wrong with you. You can be successful. Everybody in your life will have a turn back moment. No matter who you are, you're going to have such a period in your life where it seems like it's not working. You're going to have doubts. You're going to have a lot of trials and tribulations and challenges. And everybody has what's called a turn back moment. You always have a moment in your life where the direction you're going, you will have to make a decision to keep going or you turn back. The sad thing is the average person turns back. But think about this. If you're going somewhere and you turn back, you can never get there.